I never thought heartbreak would come with roses in my hand. It was just another Thursday. Work had been slow, and I finished early. On my way home, I picked up Emily's favorite flowers, white roses with little purple edges. She loved those, said they reminded her of sunsets. I thought she'd smile when she saw them. I thought she'd throw her arms around me and kiss me like she used to. I parked the car and climbed the stairs to our apartment. I remember humming something under my breath, something soft and stupid. I didn't even knock. I had a key. Of course I did. The door opened. The first thing I noticed was her laughter. It was soft, breathy. The kind of laugh she used to give me when we laid on the couch and talked about silly things. I smiled. I thought she was on the phone. Then I heard his voice. Zach, my best friend since I was 10. We grew up together, played ball in the rain, fought bullies, shared secrets. He was more than a friend. He was a brother, or so I thought. I took one step forward. Then another. The bouquet in my hand felt heavier with every step, like it knew it wasn't welcome. I turned the corner into the living room. And there they were, Emily, my Emily, sitting on his lap, her arms around his neck, his hands on her waist, her face buried in his neck. They didn't see me at first. They were lost in each other. I just stood there, not moving, not breathing. The roses slipped from my hand and hit the floor with a soft sound. That's when Emily looked up. Her eyes widened. She scrambled off him like the couch was on fire. Aiden, she gasped. Zach stood, his shirt halfway unbuttoned, lips parted like he had something to say but couldn't find the words. I looked at them. I didn't yell. I didn't punch him. I didn't ask her why. I just stood there. My heart was too full for words. My head too quiet for rage. I turned around, walked out. The door closed behind me, and with it, the world I had known. The air outside felt colder than usual. I walked to the stairs, then turned back and picked up the bouquet from the floor. One of the roses was crushed, its petals torn. Just like me, I threw it in the trash outside our building. I got in my car and sat there, staring at the steering wheel. My hands were shaking, my chest was tight, like something was sitting on it. I could still smell her perfume on my jacket. Still hear Zach's laugh, still feel the sting in my gut. I didn't cry, tears felt too small for what I felt. It was something else, like someone had reached inside me and cracked something clean in half. Not loud, not violent, just a single crack through everything I thought was true. I drove for a while. I don't even remember where I went. The city lights blurred into each other. The world kept moving, even though mine had stopped. My phone buzzed. I didn't check it. It buzzed again, and again. Probably Emily, maybe Zach. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to read their excuses, their half-truths, their pain masked as regret. I ended up at an old diner by the highway. We used to come here, all three of us. Back when things made sense. I sat in the corner booth and ordered coffee. Black, bitter. The waitress gave me a sad look, like she could tell I was one of the broken ones tonight. She didn't ask questions. She just refilled my cup every time it got low. I stared out the window, and my reflection stared back. I looked like someone else. Someone older, someone tired, someone who had learned the hard way that trust is a fragile thing. I didn't sleep that night. I went home to my studio apartment. Alone, not the one I shared with Emily. That place felt like poison now. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. My chest still tight, my mind running in circles. Her laugh, his smile, the way they looked so comfortable. Like it wasn't the first time. I kept hearing one question in my head. Why? Why her? Why him? Why me? But there were no answers. Just silence. And in that silence, I realized something. That moment, standing in that room, watching everything I believed in fall apart, that was the moment my glass heart cracked. It didn't shatter, not yet, but the crack was there, spreading, quietly, slowly, and once glass cracks, it never goes back to what it was. People say, talk about it. Don't keep it inside, but what if silence is the only thing that understands me? The morning after I caught Emily and Zach, I woke up in a bed that didn't feel like mine. My skin was cold, my eyes burned, but they were dry. No tears came, just this dull ache behind them, like something inside me was trying to claw its way out. My phone buzzed again. I didn't check it, not when it rang, not when it buzzed with texts, not when Lucas called me 5 times in a row. I just let it sit there, face down on the nightstand, glowing every few seconds like it was begging me to feel something. I didn't want to talk to anyone. Not my brother, not even Mom, especially not Mom, but she left a voicemail anyway. Aiden, honey, I don't know what's going on, but Lucas said you're not answering. Please just call me back. I'm worried. I love you. I played it twice, then deleted it. Work was no better. I sat at my desk Monday morning, staring at my computer screen, barely blinking. My head was full but empty at the same time. Like a tornado had ripped through it and left only dust. Claire walked by, then stopped. Hey, she said quietly. You okay? I didn't look up. Yeah, just tired. She didn't believe me. I could feel it in her silence. But she didn't press. She walked away. I liked that about Claire. She wasn't the kind of person who asked twice. She gave you space, not pressure. But even space felt like a prison this week. I missed the client presentation. Didn't mean to. I just forgot. Time didn't feel real anymore. Mr. Blake called me into his office. He didn't offer me a seat. You were supposed to lead the Hardman pitch, he said. His voice was calm, but the disappointment was sharp. I know, I replied. He stared at me for a moment. Is something going on? I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out. What was I supposed to say? That the two people I trusted most stabbed me in the same moment? Just personal stuff, I muttered. He didn't care. Not really. Handle it, or I'll have to reconsider your place on the next project. I nodded, left, closed the door behind me. Claire looked up from her desk. Our eyes met. She didn't smile. Neither did I. At home, the silence was thicker than ever. I cooked pasta and didn't eat it. Turned on the TV and didn't watch. Laid in bed and stared at the ceiling again. My thoughts ran wild. Was it my fault? Did I miss signs? Was I boring? Too quiet? Too soft? I hated thinking like that. But heartbreak turns confidence into dust. I picked up my phone and opened Emily's messages. Greater than, Aiden, please talk to me. Greater than, you don't understand. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Greater than, I didn't plan this. I still love you. I read them once, then deleted them all. Zach hadn't texted. Of course not. Cowards don't explain. They vanish. Lucas messaged me again. Greater than, call me. I swear I'll just listen. I didn't reply, not because I didn't love him, but because I didn't trust my own voice. I was afraid that if I spoke, I'd scream. Or cry, or both, and I didn't want to be that broken version of me. Not in front of him. Days passed like fog. I went to work. I sat in meetings. I nodded when I needed to. I laughed once, and even that felt wrong, like it wasn't my voice. Claire gave me a file one morning and said softly, you don't have to tell me what's wrong. But I hope you know you're not alone. That was the first time someone said something that didn't make me feel smaller. Still, I didn't answer. Not because I didn't want to. Because I didn't know how. Heartbreak doesn't always look like tears and loud cries. Sometimes it's just silence. Long, heavy silence that fills your chest and crushes your ribs from the inside. That's what I carried every day now. The glass that cracked, it didn't break all at once. It shattered in slow motion, piece by piece, and I was still watching the shards fall. I didn't expect to see him again. Not so soon. It was Friday evening. I stayed late at work just to avoid traffic and people. The office parking lot was almost empty. My steps echoed off the pavement. Just when I unlocked my car, I heard it. Aiden. I turned. Zach, standing by his black SUV like nothing happened. Hands in his pockets, wearing the same fake smile he always used to get out of trouble in high school. I felt my chest tighten. I just want to talk, he said. I didn't move. I didn't speak. He stepped closer. It just happened. I didn't plan to hurt you. That line, that pathetic line, it just happened. Like hearts accidentally fall apart. Like betrayal slips through your fingers by mistake. Like cheating is a stumble, not a choice. Don't, I said through clenched teeth. Aiden, come on, I know you're mad. I snapped. No, I shouted, stepping toward him. You don't know. You don't get to know. You don't deserve to know. He flinched like I hit him, but I didn't. I wanted to. My hands shook with it. But I didn't. You were my best friend, I said, my voice breaking. You were my brother, and you took her. You lied to my face. Zach's jaw tightened. She came to me. We were both. I don't care. I screamed. Don't you dare try to justify it. Don't stand there and act like you're the victim. He looked down. Maybe ashamed. Maybe just pretending. I didn't care anymore. Do you know what it felt like? I asked, my voice lower now, shaking. Walking in and seeing you with her. Hearing your voice in my home. The same voice I trusted for 15 years. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Everything he could have said would have been a lie. I got in my car. Slammed the door. Drove off before I did something worse. When I got home, my phone buzzed again. Emily, greater than, I still love you. That was it. 4 words. I stared at the screen, my fingers trembling. Still, what does that even mean? Still, like what you did didn't change anything. Still, like love can excuse betrayal. I threw the phone across the room. It hit the couch and bounced off harmlessly. I wish it had broken. I wish everything would just break already. I stormed into the bathroom. Looked in the mirror. Stared into the eyes of someone I barely recognized. My fists clenched. That mirror had watched me through every moment of my life in this apartment. It had seen me laugh, cry, shave before dates with Emily, fix my tie before job interviews, smile when I got promoted. It had seen him. Now it would see this. I punched it. Hard. The glass shattered instantly. Cracks raced across its surface like spiderwebs. Blood spilled from my knuckles, dripping down my wrist. The pain was sharp, but honest. The only thing tonight that felt real. I stared at my reflection. Broken. Fragmented. Just like me. Each shard showed a different piece of my face. And none of them looked whole. I wrapped my hand in a towel and sat on the bathroom floor. The pain throbbed, but I welcomed it. At least it silenced the noise in my head. Everything inside me burned. Rage. Grief. Confusion. It all twisted together until I couldn't tell where one feeling ended and the next began. I thought about how fast everything changed. One moment, I had a future. The next, I was bleeding on a tile floor, surrounded by lies and glass. But somewhere, in all that chaos, something stirred. A thought. A whisper. I'm not staying here. Not in this pain. Not in this version of myself. If they could break me, I could rebuild. Not for revenge. Not for them. For me. For the boy who trusted too easily. For the man who would never do that again. I couldn't sleep. 3 days passed since I punched the mirror. My hand was healing, but the ache inside me wasn't. I still woke up with a tight chest and went to bed with a storm in my head. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I wrote. I sat down at the kitchen table, turned on the dim light above me, and took out a pen. Not my phone, not my laptop, just a pen and a blank page. And I wrote to Emily. Dear Emily, I don't know why I'm writing this. Maybe because I need to say things you'll never hear. Or maybe I need to hear them myself. You broke me, not just because you cheated. Not just because it was with him. But because you chose it. You chose a moment of excitement over 6 years of love. You chose lies over truth. You chose to smile at me in the morning after kissing him the night before. That's what hurts the most, not what you did, but how easily you lived with it. I keep asking myself, was I blind? Or did you just become someone else? I don't know. I don't know if I ever will. But here's what I do know. I deserved better. I wasn't perfect. God knows I messed up plenty. But I loved you with everything I had. I made space for your dreams, your fears, your future. And you filled that space with silence and betrayal. So no, I'm not writing this for forgiveness. I'm writing it so I can finally say goodbye. Goodbye to the boy who thought love was enough. Goodbye to the man who kept giving without asking if he was receiving. Goodbye to you, Aiden. I stared at the letter. I read it twice. Each word dug a little deeper into the space where my love used to live. Then I folded it once. Walked to the kitchen sink. And burned it. I held the corner to the stove flame and watched it curl, blacken, disappear. No tears. Just smoke. Later that night, I stayed late at work. I wasn't doing anything important. Just sitting. I didn't want to go home. At around 10 p.m., I finally walked out to the parking lot. The wind was cold. The world was quiet. I sat in my car but didn't start it. I stared out at the building. The glass windows glowing faintly. My reflection in the rearview mirror looked distant, like it belonged to someone else. A knock on my window startled me. Claire. I rolled it down halfway. Hey, she said gently. You okay? I nodded, but I don't think it was convincing. She didn't press. Instead, she walked around the car and got in the passenger seat. She didn't say anything, didn't ask questions, just sat there, arms crossed, looking out the windshield with me. For a while, we said nothing. And somehow, it was the most comforting thing I'd felt in weeks. After 10 or 15 minutes, she spoke. I used to sit here too, she said softly. When I lost my dad. Just stared into the dark and waited for something to make sense again. I looked over at her. She didn't meet my eyes. But it doesn't come all at once, she continued. Clarity, I mean, it drips in slowly, like rain, one drop at a time. I nodded. She looked at me now. Just, don't drown before it does. And that was it. She got out and walked to her car. I watched her go, and for the first time since everything fell apart, I didn't feel completely alone. That night, I didn't punch walls. Didn't scream into pillows. I just lay in bed and stared at the ceiling again. But this time, something was different. The pain was still there, but it felt quieter. And in its place, a new feeling began to bloom. Not hope, not yet, but maybe, purpose, a flicker, a shift. Maybe this pain wasn't just meant to destroy me. Maybe, just maybe, it could build something too. I thought I was going to get fired. When Mr. Blake called me into his office Monday morning, he didn't sound angry, but he didn't sound neutral either. Just said, Aiden, I need a word. Now, I walked in expecting the worst. My mind flashed to the missed meeting, the unfinished reports, the blank stares I'd been giving everyone for weeks. I closed the door behind me and stood in front of his desk, silent. He looked up at me with that usual hard stare. No expression, no warmth. Mr. Blake wasn't the kind of man who handed out comfort. I'm assigning you a solo pitch, he said. I blinked. Wait, what? He leaned back in his chair. The Hathaway Group is looking for a full rebrand. They want bold, clean, international. You'll lead the design. My throat tightened. I thought Zach was handling Hathaway. He tapped a pen against his desk. Zach's off the project. I didn't ask why, but something in the way he said it, curt, final, told me it wasn't voluntary. He slid a file across the desk. Deadline is in 3 weeks. You'll have access to everything you need. Make it good. I took the file with both hands, still stunned. I'm trusting you, Reed, he added. Don't waste it. Back at my desk, I opened the folder. Client details, brand history, mood boards, the kind of stuff I used to get excited about. And for the first time in what felt like years, I felt a flicker of that excitement again. Dan leaned over the divider between our desks. Wait, you got Hathaway? Apparently, he grinned. Damn, that's huge. Blake never gives that kind of project to anyone below senior designer level. I shrugged. Maybe he ran out of options. Dan gave me a look. No, man, he trusts you. He doesn't say it, but he's been watching. I didn't know how to respond to that. Praise still felt like a coat that didn't fit right. Let me know if you need anything, Dan added, tapping the divider. I've got experience with their digital layouts. Thanks, I said, and I meant it. Dan was one of the few people in the office who didn't treat me like I was made of glass since everything happened. He didn't tiptoe, he didn't pry, he just showed up. And I was starting to realize how rare that was. Later that afternoon, I passed by Zach's desk. It was empty, no coffee mug, no laptop, no jacket slung over the chair like usual. Claire saw me staring. He's been suspended, she said quietly. I turned to her. Suspended. She nodded. Someone leaked client files last week. HR's investigating. No proof yet, but. She didn't finish the sentence. But I knew what she meant. Zach had always played with lines, ethical and otherwise. If something gave him an advantage, he didn't mind stepping over people to reach it. I just never thought I'd be one of those people. Now, maybe someone else had noticed what I was too blind to see before. That night, I stayed late at the office. Everyone else had gone home. The building hummed quietly around me. I worked on the Hathaway concept until my eyes burned. There was no anger in me tonight. No heartbreak, no Emily, no Zach, just focus, design, shape, movement, identity. I poured everything into it. Not to prove them wrong, not to make them regret, but to build something, finally, for me. By midnight, I saved my first draft and leaned back in my chair. The city lights outside blinked faintly. My reflection stared back at me in the dark glass window. This version of me didn't look broken. He looked tired, but steady. There was a strange kind of peace in that. I packed up my things and walked to the elevator. Claire was just stepping out of hers. She jumped slightly. You're still here? Yeah, I said. Got caught up. She smiled. That's good. Means you're moving. Moving. She nodded. Forward. It was such a simple word. But for the first time in weeks, I didn't flinch when I heard it. I just smiled back. Yeah, I said. I guess I am. Rumors have a way of finding you, even when you're not looking for them. By Thursday, Zach's name is everywhere in hushed conversations and whispered side eyes. Nobody says anything outright, but I catch bits and pieces. Demoted, not fired, but hanging by a thread. Client files traced back to his access ID. Blake's pissed. HR's still digging. It's strange. Just a few weeks ago, Zach was the golden boy. The guy everyone asked for help, praised at meetings, bought drinks for after work. Now his desk sits in the corner like an abandoned crime scene. I don't feel satisfaction, just stillness. There's no need for revenge. Karma's faster than any blade I could ever throw. I haven't seen Emily since that day. But Claire told me, casually over coffee one afternoon, that Emily's been posting cryptic stories online, sad quotes, blurry pictures of wine glasses, the usual digital heartbreak symphony. The man she left me for ghosted her after 2 weeks. Apparently, Zach was just a detour for him. Ironic, the one who broke my world is now being broken by hers. I sip my coffee. I don't gloat. I don't even smile. I just breathe. The Hathaway pitch lands better than I expected. I deliver it in the main boardroom, 20 minutes, no stumbles. Every slide feels like a heartbeat, every word like armor I built myself. The clients nod, take notes, ask questions. By the end, one of them claps. Claire gives me a quiet thumbs up from the back. Dan grins at me like I just won an Oscar. 2 days later, Mr. Blake calls me back in. This time, I'm not nervous. He doesn't waste time. They love your concept. The clients signed on for a full year's contract. I nod, keeping my face composed. That's great news. Blake leans forward. It's more than great. This win gives us international visibility. And it gives me reason to offer you something permanent. He slides a contract across the table. Senior designer. Full benefits. Bigger office. Your own assistant if you want one. My chest tightens. I lift the pen without hesitation. Sometimes the best revenge is becoming exactly what they said you'd never be. That weekend, Lucas shows up at my door. No call. No warning. Just a knock and a half smile. He's carrying a six-pack in the old PS4 we used to play on as kids. I figured you could use a break, he says. We sit on the floor like we used to. Eat takeout. Lose 3 straight matches in FIFA. Then fall into silence. The kind of silence that used to hold tension. But this time, it just holds space. Lucas breaks it first. Mom told me what happened. With Emily. With everything. I nod. He looks at me, serious. I should have checked in sooner. You were dealing with your own stuff, I say. We both were. He exhales, then stares at the screen. I'm proud of you, man. The words hit harder than I expect. Pride. From him. From the brother I used to chase through hallways and fight over remote controls with. I blink fast, looking away. Thanks. He doesn't press it, just opens another beer and passes me one. We drink like brothers again. The next week, Claire drops a quiet bombshell while we're reviewing layouts together. I think Zach was involved in more than just the file leak. I pause. Like what? She glances around, then lowers her voice. There were invoices that didn't match. Software licenses being billed under fake names. Blake's digging into it now, but it looks like Zach might have been siphoning funds. I shake my head. He always knew how to charm the system. Claire's lips tighten, and how to bleed it dry. For a second, I feel a flicker of old rage. Then I let it go. Zach's fall isn't my victory, it's his own making. I'm not interested in dragging anyone down anymore. I'm climbing. At night, I don't stare at ceilings anymore. I sleep, not just from exhaustion, but peace. I don't scroll through old pictures. Don't reread messages. Don't search for reasons. There's a plant on my desk now. Claire gave it to me. Growth, she said. Real, messy, green growth. It's not much, but it's alive, and so am I. I don't think about the broken glass anymore. I think about what I've built with the pieces. Because maybe survival was never the goal. Maybe I was meant to live. She walks into the building like a ghost dressed in red. Tall, sharp, poised. A face I recognize, but haven't seen in years, Talia Monroe. She worked with Zach at his last job, before he leveled up, here. I remember her from a holiday party, charming laugh, sharper eyes. I thought she and Zach had a thing once. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Now, she walks straight toward me like this is personal. Aiden, she says. I pause at the elevator. Talia, I need 5 minutes of your time. I study her. About what? Her fingers tighten around a small, black object. Something you need to see. We sit in an empty meeting room. The lights flicker overhead. She places the USB on the table between us like it's loaded. I know what Zach did to you, she says. Personally and professionally. My heart stutters. What do you mean? I kept quiet for too long. But I was there when he first pitched your design to our old client. Claimed it was his. I blink. Wait, what design? Talia doesn't flinch. Your vertical reclaim project. The one from your grad portfolio. The one that got you this job. My chest tightens like someone's pulled a cord around it. That's impossible. That was private. I never even published it. She looks at me, quiet. Then pushes the USB forward. Emails, voice memos, even a recorded call. He bragged about using your old laptop when you left it at his place. My stomach drops. He had access. I trusted him. Like a fool. Back at my desk, I plug in the USB. Claire notices my expression and walks over. Everything okay? I can't speak. I motion her to sit. She watches as I click through the folders. Audio_01.wave. Email thread _reclaim design.pdf. Client notes _forge.txt. She reads, listens. Her face pales. He didn't just steal your design. He set it up so he looked like your mentor. Dan joins us 10 minutes later. What's going on? Claire tells him. Dan whistles low. This is enough to bury him. But I'm not smiling, because this isn't just betrayal. This is identity theft, career sabotage, and years of lies, wrapped in a friendship I thought was real. And Emily, one of the voice memos says it all. Em knows. She even suggested I polish the pitch with Aiden's touch. That's what I'm doing, polishing. I shut the laptop. Silence wraps around us. This isn't the end. It's the start of something darker. Claire puts a hand on my shoulder. What do you want to do? Dan says, we can help. Document it. Report it. But part of me wants more. Not just justice. Power. Zach burned bridges I didn't know I was standing on. Emily lit the match. And now, they're both drowning in the consequences, only they don't know I hold the current. I look at the USB in my palm. Feels heavier than it is. Because it holds the truth. And the truth, in the right hands, is a weapon. That night, I don't sleep. I draft emails, compile timestamps, cross-reference my designs with the stolen versions. Dan helps. Claire reviews. We build a folder called reclaimjustice.zip. By sunrise, it's ready. Talia's name goes on the witness list. Blake's name goes on the email thread. Karma's name goes on the subject line. The storm isn't over. It never was. But now I'm not standing in the rain. I am the thunder. The building feels colder this morning. Not because of the weather. Summer still clings to the air like a dying breath, but because something irreversible is in motion. HR sent out a calendar invite titled, Confidential Meeting 10 a.m. Zach's name is on it. By 9:30, whispers drift through the office like smoke. Dan walks by and taps my desk lightly. It's happening. Claire doesn't speak. She just nods, her eyes scanning every flicker of emotion in mine. But there's nothing there. I burned it all away. At 10 o'clock, 2 men from security walk past the elevators. At 10:03, Zach is called in. At 10:18, the glass walls of HR fog with silence. No one dares to move. By 10:31, it's over. He walks out, not with a roar, but a shrug. Shoulders slumped, tie undone, his eyes search the floor as if it might explain how everything fell apart. He doesn't look at me. Maybe because he knows, maybe because he can't. He's escorted out of the building like a ghost too heavy to carry himself. No applause, no drama, just the slow collapse of a man who built his throne from borrowed bones. Emily texts at noon. Can we talk? I stare at the screen for 5 minutes. Then another 10. Finally, I respond. Okay. One time, one place. That's it. We meet outside the cafe near where we used to live, neutral ground. She's already there, arms wrapped tight around herself. Not from the breeze, but from shame. I heard about Zach, she says quietly. I nod once. I didn't know he'd go that far, she adds. I smile. Not out of kindness. You knew enough. She flinches. I'm sorry, Aiden. I really am. I didn't think. No, I cut in. You didn't. And that's the point. You didn't think about me. You didn't think about what I was building. What I was trusting. You just thought about the thrill. The secrecy, the moment. Her lips tremble. I never stopped loving you. This time, I look at her. Not the way I used to, with softness or yearning, but with clarity. I lost you both, I say. Then I found myself. She doesn't speak. She doesn't cry. She just stands there. And I walk away. She doesn't follow. Back at the office, Mr. Blake calls me in. He doesn't ask for the details. He already knows them. The evidence, the timeline, the witnesses. Everything is airtight. We've concluded our investigation, he says. Zach's contract has been terminated for cause. I nod. Understood. You handled this professionally, quietly. That matters. I had help, I reply. Claire, Dan, even Talia. He folds his hands. You've got instincts, Aiden. Keep using them, for the right reasons. I leave the room lighter. Not because justice was served, but because I didn't let the pain consume me. I redirected it. Into truth. Into power. Into silence sharp enough to cut deeper than any scream. That night, I pass by the same mirror I once shattered. It's been replaced. Whole, clean, untouched. I see myself for what I am now. Not broken, not bitter, rebuilt, and still rebuilding. The collapse wasn't mine, it was theirs, and I didn't even have to push. I used to avoid mirrors. Not because of vanity, or insecurity, but because they showed me what I didn't want to see, what I was too afraid to face. Now, I stand in front of the one I shattered. It's been replaced. The glass is smooth, untouched, but I remember the moment I broke the last one, rage pulsing through my knuckles, pain leaking from my skin, blood staining the floor like a signature I didn't mean to leave behind. That mirror cracked, and so did I, but this one holds a different reflection. Not perfect, not polished, just real. I lean in, my eyes carry weight, but not the kind that drags me down anymore. There's a scar near my wrist, a faint, healed mark from that night. It used to feel like shame, now it feels like survival. At lunch, Claire sits across from me in the break room. We don't talk about Zach, or Emily, or the USB. We just eat. She steals a fry. I roll my eyes. She smirks. You looked tired today. Thinking too much. Still trying to fix the world. Just trying to live in it, I say. We both smile. No promises. No pressure. Just peace. Dan finds me later in the afternoon. Hey, he says, slapping an envelope onto my desk. Check this out. I open it. It's a certificate. International Design Guild. Emerging Talent Award. Aiden Reed, for innovation in brand architecture and visual storytelling. My name looks strange in gold letters. Like it belongs to someone else. But it's mine. Dan grins. Told you you'd rise. Feels weird, I admit. Like I cheated the fall. He shakes his head. No, man, you fell, but you didn't stay there. My phone buzzes. Mom, proud of you. Call me soon. Love you. Lucas, you watching the game tonight? I'm bringing wings. Don't flake. I smile. There was a time when I shut them out, when I let pain do the talking and silence do the rest. But the door's open now, even if it creaks a little when it moves. That night, I pass the mirror again on my way to bed. And for once, I don't just glance, I look. I see a man who's been betrayed, broken, forgotten. But I also see the man who kept going. The man who faced the worst and didn't become it. The man in the mirror isn't flawless. But he's mine. And finally, after everything, I'm okay with that. The past doesn't scream anymore. It whispers, soft, distant, like a memory you're no longer afraid to remember. Sometimes I hear Zach's name at work. Someone says he's applying somewhere new, trying to start over. Sometimes I see Emily's photo online, smiling with someone else. A filtered moment of happiness, maybe. Maybe not. But I feel nothing. And that's not coldness. That's power. Not forgetting. Just not bleeding anymore. The walk to the office feels different these days. Not heavy. Not sharp. Just mine. I hold my coffee in one hand, a sketchpad in the other. The sky's clear, the kind that feels earned. Inside, the receptionist smiles at me. Congrats again on the award, she says. Thanks, I reply, and I mean it. I pass the wall where my team's work hangs now. My designs. My vision. Claire waves at me through the glass of the conference room. Dan gives me a thumbs up as he types furiously. I step into my office, not the one I borrowed, but the one I built. People think power is noise. But I found mine in the quiet. In the long nights. In the ache. In the letter I burned. In the reflection I once couldn't face. That's the thing about pain. If you don't run from it, it becomes the furnace that shapes you. I still think about it sometimes. Not with longing, not with regret, just understanding. They broke me, but in breaking, I bent in directions I never knew existed. Zach was the knife. Emily was the silence that followed. But I was the one who stood back up. Lucas visits every weekend now. We don't say much, but we don't have to. Mom sends pictures of the garden. She added a new bench she says is just waiting for you. Claire and I still meet for coffee. Sometimes we laugh. Sometimes we just sit in the kind of silence that heals, not haunts. I look out the window. The city moves without knowing I exist. And for the first time, that doesn't scare me. Because I know who I am. Not because someone told me. But because I lost everything. And found myself in the ruins. Sometimes the past echoes. But now, it's just part of the song. Not the whole melody. Sometimes we lose everything to find ourselves. And when we do, we don't just survive, we begin.